Hello, I am Mad Cat, the angry egalitarian that discusses this and that. And today is episode 200. 200 videos. Oh my fucking god. Where did the time go? Oh. I mean, I know not all 200 episodes have had that opening, but I feel that I've said it so many times it might as well be 200. I mean, wow. 200 episodes. I'm so happy to finally be at this point. I mean, I'm not as popular as I hoped I would be at this point, but I'm still very happy. I'm starting to see a rise in subscribers, which is fantastic, and I hope that that trend continues and I continue to get more and more subscribers as I do more and more videos. You know, I've done nearly 50 episodes of my Angry Egalitarian. I'm doing my Feminist Fumbles, and I'm starting to do starting to respond to all the other little things that happen within our community. And actually that gets me a lot of popularity, so I'm going to start trying to do that. Unfortunately, that is not something that happens every day. So, plus, you know, I don't want it to be where I'm always attacking someone else. I mean, my Sargon video, woo, that, like, I think that's over 1,000 views so far. But I don't always want to just do videos where I'm attacking other people within our movement, because then I'm going to be that guy, and no, I mean, there's a lot of great people who do a lot of great things, and if there's something that's done that needs to be responded to, I will definitely do that. If something happens that's noteworthy, I'm going to start doing that. Now, with my 200th episode, I am announcing that I'm going to start discontinuing my Smash series. I will continue to do my Smash series if I have like a guest star on. If I have someone come on, I can go ahead and do it then. The reason why is that the Smash series actually takes a long time to do. It takes like several hours just to even do the video itself, but there's additional time that's just done for searching for articles. And my Fumble series is nice because all those little small articles that I wouldn't put on there, I can just set those, I can just like do those right away. Not so much with my Smash series. If anyone out there is ever interested in doing a Smash video with me, whether you're one of my subscribers, whether you're someone who wants to like boost their own channel a little bit and wants to come on and, you know, discuss things with me, or you're some big heavyweight out there that, you know, wants to give me a boost, you know, just let me know and we can set up a Smash series, because I love doing the Smash series. You know, I love yelling in the camera. I haven't done that lately. My mind is in like several places at once. I just opened an editing business. I'm still trying to get my writing career off the ground. I'm doing a lot of different things at once, and it's just like I never really have the energy to do anything, and I make the time to do these videos, but even then there's like some weeks I just don't do anything at all. And not because I don't want to, but because I just have nothing left. Because of my disability, I work and work and work, and then I have nothing left. Which sucks, because then I still have like several hours of the day just sitting around doing nothing, watching whatever TV I can online. Right now I'm watching Jessica Jones, which is kind of disappointing me as a series, but I kind of suspected that it would. Anyways, let's go ahead and get to today's show. Feminists always say, check your privilege. Well, you know what, you cunt harpies? I'm going to check my privilege today. So let's unveil today's show. Today, we're at BuzzFeed. How privileged are you? Okay, so how privileged am I? Am I white? Yes, I am. I have never been discriminated against because of my skin color. I have been discriminated against because of my skin color. I get, there's racial slurs for white people that's just acceptable. Kill whitey. You're talking about kill the white man. Being called a cracker. Being called Wonder Bread. But even if, you don't want to include racial slurs in that, which would still be discrimination, certainly I've been looked over because I'm white. I had like an Asian friend for a while, and anytime, I don't want to speak ill of him, but, it's like whenever girls came up to us, they tend to gravitate towards him. And I can't help but that he's Asian. And on paper, if you compared us, I kind of feel like I was a better suitable match for people than he was. But because he was Asian, he was different and exciting. So I've had that kind of discrimination where people seem to like pretend that I'm not there. So, yes, I have been discriminated against because of my skin color. I have never been the only person of race in a room. That's actually not true. I have been the only person of race. Certainly I've had enough black friends in my life where I was the only white person in a group of black people. I used to have friends who were black, and their families would invite me over, and I would be the only white person there. So, yeah, that's happened before. I've never been mocked for my accent. Well, it depends on what they mean by accent. If they're meaning like from a different country, then no. However, keeping in the spirit of this, if someone has made fun of maybe my voice, I've had that issue before. And not this voice, but I used to talk like this. I used to have no inflection in my voice whatsoever. And I spoke like this pretty much throughout high school, pretty much throughout college, and even many of my jobs for the longest time. I never really had a voice other than this. People said that I was monotone. I have been made fun of having this voice. And most of it was because I was depressed. I just didn't have any excitement in life. I didn't have anything to make me happy. So I continued to talk like this. But then I found things to be happy about, and well, and even as screwed up as my life is now, it's even more screwed up than it was back then. I still have inflection in my voice. So, even though it's not technically an accent, I have been mocked for my voice before. And people didn't think it was mocking. It was mocking. But I never said anything about it. I've never been told that I'm attractive for my race. I don't think anyone has ever said you're cute for a white guy. I'm pretty sure some girl has, but I don't really remember it. So I'm going to go ahead and check that one. I've got to thank DataTwoHearts for doing a video on this, by the way. I didn't know about this until I saw her video, but I guess a few other people have already done this. I have never been a victim of violence because of my race. I don't know if I've ever been beat up because I was white. So, okay, I'll go ahead and check that. I've never been called a racial slur. Yes, I have been called a racial slur. We kind of already covered that. I've never been told I sound white. Have I ever been told that I sound white? I don't think I have. I'm sure someone somewhere along the line has said it, but I don't think... I don't really remember it. It sucks having poor memory for this. A stranger has never asked to touch my hair or ask if it's real. Actually, that has happened to me before. You know, being at a BDSM party, some random person comes up and asks, you know, maybe it's their fetish, maybe it's their kink, I don't know, maybe it was a dare, I don't know. But it has happened to me where some strange person's like, hey, can I touch your hair? So yes, I have had people come up to me and ask to touch my hair, and I didn't really know who they were. I'm like, yeah, sure, why not? I am heterosexual. Technically, no, I am not heterosexual. I am what you call heteroflexible. Now, I know that sounds like a special snowflake term, and maybe it is, but it's the term that best describes me, and I can't really help it. Heteroflexible means that it's like 90% of the time, I want to fuck a chick. But, you know, there's like that 10% of the time where it's like, dude, I want to suck your dick. You know, mostly like if I'm in a threesome, I'll suck a guy's dick so long as there's a pussy to wash it down with. I'm not like 100% straight. I'm only like 90%. Once in a great while, I'll take a dick and just like, you know, really go down on a guy. And because, you know, the special snowflakiness of this, so I will not check that I'm heterosexual on this one. I have never lied about my sexuality. Oh, yes, I have lied about my sexuality. There is a double standard in some communities, specifically OkCupid. There's such a double standard when it comes to bisexuality for men. I used to list on there that I was bisexual because at the time, that was the closest term that I could relate to it. There were a lot of girls who refused to talk to me. Now, many of them were straight, so I guess I could kind of understand, but there were quite a many that were bisexual. Bisexual women refusing to talk to a bisexual male because she doesn't like that he had sex with a man. Even in their questions, they list, it's okay for a woman to be with a woman, but it's not okay for them if a man is with a man. The fact that I've had sex with a man immediately disqualifies me from even talking to women on OkCupid. So then I changed it back to being straight, and yeah, women would start talking to me again. Yeah, I've had to lie about my sexuality because of the double standard. So yes, I've had to lie about my sexuality. I have never had to come out. Now, there's no context here. They're probably meaning towards my sexuality. But, you know, I've definitely revealed my identity to the public. Last year, I revealed myself to the men's rights movement. I showed my face. That was the one thing I never did. I revealed that I was an author. I became more open about it. Now, with my writing side of things for like my blog and my Twitter account, that's just for writing. That's not a place for politics, so I don't include it there, but I don't exactly hide it anymore. I'm not exactly concerned if there's some crossover. And that's why I created a third identity, Concrete Desk, which is kind of the combination of two. It's the writing and the men's rights stuff. And it's my dream to one day open a publishing company that's dedicated to helping those not feminists publish their work. Because certainly it is a very feminist world out there for the writing. So I have come out before with that. So I'm not going to check it because I've had to come out. And that was a very hard thing to do. To reveal that me, as a writer, am also a part of the men's rights movement, that I'm an egalitarian, that while there are some feminists out there I support, and there are some, you know, I'm friends with some feminists out there, and they know what I do. You know, I'm still scared of one day pissing off feminists to the point that they will find my books and just spam me with a lot of 1 stars. That is still a very real fear that I have. So that's why I'm not checking that, because I've had to come out before. I revealed who I was. Because I was tired of living basically 2 lives. A writing life and an activist life. Now I can live 1 life as a writing activist. I've never doubted my parents' acceptance of my sexuality. Oh boy, have I. I've hid my sexuality from my parents. Because when I was younger, they always thought I was gay. And they used to have conversations with me that's like, oh, well, if you're gay, you're out of the family. I mean, they were, like, pretty much homophobic. More my stepfather than mother. I'm sure my mother's not really homophobic, but I know that she wouldn't really understand what I'm doing. I think she still suspects that I'm gay, because I never really brought girls home, even though I actually did. Especially growing up, they're like, well, you're not allowed to have a girlfriend, but we never see you around girls. It's like, if you say I'm not allowed to have a girlfriend, then why do you think you don't see any girls around? If you don't see me hanging out with any girls, and I'm not allowed to date any girls, don't you think those 2 things are connected to each other? Think, before you speak. So, yeah, I've doubted whether or not they could ever truly accept me for anything that I am. I mean, my mother knows that I'm an atheist, but that's about it. I mean, hell, she bought me Richard Dawkins' God Delusion when I first became an atheist. But that was about it. Anything about my sexuality, no, I have not talked to them about. And at this point, I really don't care if they know or not. Them knowing is not going to change anything. I mean, hell, I might one day find a couple, a man and a woman, and decide to spend the rest of my life with them. Maybe I'll tell my mother then, maybe I won't. I really don't care. So, yes, I have doubted my parents' acceptance. I've been called a fag before. I mean, especially in this movement, you're going to be called a fag. Hell, we're reclaiming the word, in the men's rights movement, fag. So, I've been called a fag before. Never been called a dyke, though. I have been called other derogatory slurs for homosexuals, especially by my parents. But especially by other people when I first started to reveal this online. And there were people that, kind of used it. Oh, I don't date a fag, I don't, I'm not into guys who, are confused. I've had that happen to me, especially on OkCupid back in the day. And I avoided that by changing my sexuality to straight. I've never tried to hide my sexuality. Well, isn't having to lie about your sexuality the same thing as hiding your sexuality? I mean, I've kind of already answered that question. When I lied about my sexuality and was forced to hide it, that's a form of hiding it. I mean, when you lie, oh my God, did they actually have anyone proofread any of this? I am always comfortable with PDA with my partner in public. Is anyone comfortable with PDA in public? Anyone? I mean, I'm sure there are, but I think most people would answer no, they're not comfortable with PDA. I don't even know why this is out there. It's probably a lesbian thing, like, when me and my girlfriend kiss, everyone's looking at us. Everyone's like, some people are disgusted. It's like, ew, I don't want to deal with them. They're going to hell. And then others are like, woo, yeah, 2 girls going at it. Oh, yeah, strip your clothes off. Oh my fucking God. I mean, yeah, I'm sure that happens to lesbians, but just because I'm straight-ish and I've kissed a girl in public doesn't mean that I was very comfortable doing it. That's part of the excitement. Being outside your comfort zone and doing something impulsive like that. I mean, if it was comfortable to do, then people wouldn't really do it that often. You do it because it's not comfortable to do. You do it because it's impulsive, it's daring, it's scary. So, no, I'm not going to check that because I've never been comfortable kissing in public. I tend not to do it unless I'm dared to do it. It's not just something that's like, oh, I'm not doing anything right now. Hey, do you want to kiss in public? I've never pretended to be just friends with my significant other. Yes, I have. I've had to deal with this before. Okay, so some of you know that I used to be in the BDSM community. And, I had gotten out of a pretty bad... Well, I actually was a pretty good relationship, but I was dating 2 girls at one time. And... both relationships kind of fizzled out. So I was kind of single and on the rebound, and 2 other girls kind of invited me into their relationship. Now, the thing about this relationship, unlike the last one, because in the last one, I was the central focal point, and it was the 2 girls that were attached to me. In this new one, it was these 2 girls that were the focal point, and I was attached to the both of them. What happened with this is, outside of the BDSM world, they didn't want me to tell anyone that I was dating them. Now, one of the girls I had worked with at my place of employment. And funny enough, her mother also worked there as well. I was told, however, that not to reveal anything about our relationship. That they prefer just to say that they're a lesbian relationship and not a poly relationship, not an open relationship. And the reason why is because they didn't want to have to explain to people what poly meant. That it was easier just to say that they were a lesbian. Truthfully, I think there was a sense of empowerment of saying that they were a lesbian. They could get behind a label and like, we're lesbians, and feel, that kind of power that comes with having such a label. That some people are pissed off, other people admire them for being so open about their sexuality. When in truth it's a lie. Because they're not lesbians, they're both bisexual who happen to be dating each other, and have also bring other people into their relationship, by me, for example. So I was never allowed to say, outside the BDSM world, that I was dating this girl at my work. I had to be just friends. So that has happened to me before. I've never been ostracized by my religion for my sexual orientation. Well, whether I was an atheist, because this says for religion, but, atheism isn't a religion, but I think the spirit of the question is for, my spiritual beliefs or lack thereof. But even when I was a Christian, no one really knew about my sexual orientation, so I can go ahead and check this box. I've never been told I'd burn in hell for my sexual orientation. I have been told that. Not necessarily by my religion, but certainly when I used to be very, very open about it. And I'm starting to become more open about my sexuality. I don't talk about it that often because it's not really relevant to anything. But I'm not really afraid anymore to mention it. I just don't want, to put it in people's faces all the time. It's my privacy, Certainly, when I used to be more open about my sexuality in the past, I've been told, by online Christians that I'd burn in hell for sucking dick. I have never been told that my sexuality is just a phase. My parents have said that when I was growing up. I've never been violently threatened because of my sexuality. Well, online I have been. And, it was one of the reasons why I really stopped talking about it, is because people were, you're open about it, and it's like all of a sudden people that would one day have respected you suddenly don't. And it was such a strange thing. Now, I'm not trying to make I'm a victim or anything. It's like, what? Whatever. I moved on, and, You know, it's like I'm mostly straightish anyway, so it's not really a lie that I was heterosexual. But yeah, it's happened before. I've been threatened because of my sexuality. I am a man. I am comfortable in the gender I was born as. I still identify as that gender. And I've never really changed my gender. I've thought about it, but it's like, I have a pretty nice penis, and it's like, maybe if it wasn't so great, maybe I would change my gender. I don't know. Because I definitely see the benefits of being a woman in this society, especially now being a trans woman. But, you know, honestly, it's just like a wild fantasy thought of what if I was a female. But, you know, I am comfortable with the gender I am. I do like being a man, and I think that my purpose in life is better suited as a man than anything else. But certainly the thought has been there. You know, you just think like, what if? You know? And once again, my penis is a nice size. So, seeing how many times I can mention my penis in this, since, you know, this is all about checking your privilege. I've never been denied an opportunity because of my gender. Certainly that has happened. You know, with hiring practices, I always saw girls, you know, advancing faster than men. If I was kind of up for a promotion, I would see that a girl got it before I would. I make more money than my professional counterparts of a different gender. I've always worked salary jobs where everyone made the same amount of money. And the only time you made more money is if you had a promotion, more responsibilities, and that's about it. But for the same exact work, everyone made the exact same amount of money. So I'm not checking that because I've never been in a place where I made more money than a female counterpart. I've never felt unsafe because of my gender. I feel unsafe all the fucking time. Whenever I go out, I'm always worried that, you know, I might get mugged. Because statistically, I am more likely to get mugged on the streets than a woman is to get raped. I'm always afraid of being anywhere where there's rampant feminists. You know, going out to like some of these BDM places, I'm scared that, you know, there might just be some militant feminist out there that's a part of BDSM that would, I don't know what would happen, but there is certainly a fear that, you know, being a man in this world, you know, I might get attacked or something. That fear does exist. Now, I don't let that fear control me. I do still go out, but I do feel unsafe sometimes. I have never been catcalled. I certainly have been catcalled. You know, sometimes for the positive, sometimes for the negative. It happens to men. I've never been sexually harassed or assaulted. I certainly have been sexually harassed. Being at work, I have been sexually harassed before. And it's not really a big deal. I didn't report it, but, you know, it's like if I had done what happened to me to a female, I would have been fired. But I didn't really mind it so much, so I didn't really care. I have never been raped. I actually have been raped before. When I was like 8 years old, I was raped by an older female. I don't talk about it that much because I don't really need to, but it did happen to me. I've never worked in a salary job. My family and I have never lived below the poverty line. Now, I myself have lived below the poverty line. Technically, I live below the poverty line now. I am dependent on everyone right now, which is unfortunate. I'm trying to do everything I can to change that, but technically, I live below the poverty line as we speak. As far as my family goes, most of my childhood, no, but when my mom was first starting out, yeah, she was. I do have student loans. I have gone to bed hungry. Technically, I've never been homeless. I've been very, very, very close to it, but I've never actually been homeless before. Now, the problem with this sentence is that it's in present tense. Not like somewhere in your life your parents have paid some of your bills. No, this is saying right now my parents pay some of my bills. They do not. They do not pay any of my bills whatsoever. In the past, they might have paid a bill here and there. And of course, the next one that they pay all my bills is also eh. I don't rely on public transportation. I rely on public transportation now. I mean, my roommate lets me drive his truck on occasion, like to go to the store and whatnot. But if I need to go into the city, you know, I go to, like, the nearest train and take that. That's public transportation. When I lived back in Arizona, you better believe that one of the few ways that I got around was taking public transportation. Since I had to sell my truck because I needed money and I couldn't afford to really do anything with the truck anymore, like get insurance. I buy new clothes at least once a month. No, I don't. You know, I bought clothes like last month and I went to a Goodwill store to buy a couple of shirts. You know, I'm hoping one day to be in a position where I could buy like an entire new wardrobe because my wardrobe's pretty thin. I wish I could buy new clothes at least once a month. I've done my own taxes before. I've definitely felt poor. I feel poor right now. And don't get me wrong, I appreciate everything my roommate does. And, you know, he's a godsend. But outside of that, I still feel like I'm very poor. I've never had to worry about making rent. When I did have to pay rent, I often worried about that. I was always living paycheck to paycheck. I've had to work as a salesperson. I have had an unpaid internship. Now, I don't know if this is saying, like, you know, I as a manager had someone work for me as an unpaid internship, or if I myself has worked as an unpaid intern. So, I don't know which one it's saying. I think it's the latter. But no, I've never been an unpaid intern, nor have I had anyone work for me as an unpaid intern. I went to summer camp. Nope. I went to private school. Nope. I graduated high school. Yeah, actually I did do that. I went to an elite college. Nope. I graduated college. Yeah, actually I did. I have a bachelor's degree. My parents paid at least some of my tuition. Not directly. I mean, they did co-sign for that, so I could go to college, which was all well and great. And certainly my student loans have gone to bill collectors. And on occasion, my parents have paid for that. I'm going to go ahead and check it, because that's kind of a gray area. Did they, didn't they? I mean, where do you kind of define that they paid? Do you mean directly to the college? Do you mean for bill collectors? So once in a while, my mom has like helped pay some bill collectors I've had. Once in a great while. I had a car in high school. Nope. I never had a roommate. Have one right now. I've always had cable. Nope. There have been times where I haven't had cable. Never traveled internationally. Never studied abroad. Isn't that kind of the same question there? Studied internationally? I've never skipped a meal. Yes, I have skipped a meal. I do know what Sally Mae is. Never been on spring break before. Frequent flyer miles? Hell no. My parents are heterosexual. As far as I know, they are. They're still alive. Now, this one, there's a point of contention here. Because my biological parents are both still alive. However, my biological father left the family, and I didn't meet him until I was 20. In his place was my stepfather, who I did know until I was 20. He is no longer alive, and they actually ended up divorcing. Now, if being a father is more than just being a sperm donor, then technically I would see him more as a father than my biological father, even though I hate the prick. And I was glad that when he died. As bad as that sounds, I was actually glad when he was dead. So, I'm not going to check this because in the strictest terms, yes, I should check this, but in what my situation was, no. They're not still both alive. They're definitely not married. I do have physical, social, and learning disabilities. My current disability affects all three of those things. I've never had an eating disorder. I mean, certainly I had problems with my weight growing up, but I've never actually had an eating disorder. I have been depressed. I have considered suicide. I have attempted suicide in my life. I've taken medication for depression. I can't afford medication when I need it because I'm poor. I've never been told that I'm overweight or too skinny. I've been told that I'm too skinny before. I mean, I couldn't enter the military at one point because I was underweight. I actually had to gain just like 10 pounds just so, I could enter the military. Even my drill sergeant got annoyed with how skinny I was. He's like, you just start eating, a lot of meat so you can try to gain some weight. And I've definitely felt like that when I was. I mean, just to give you some idea, when I entered the military, I was 5'11" and weighed 120 pounds. And when I finally left the military, I actually ended up growing, and I didn't realize it until I left. I was 6'3" and weighed 160 pounds. I gained about 4 inches, but only 40 pounds. I've definitely felt too skinny before. And I've been shamed for my body before. Do I consider myself physically attractive? I really don't. I mean, I know I am not the standard that women want a guy to be. And the only reason why a girl would find me interesting is because of my brain. That I'm a really, really smart guy, and I'm an okay looking guy. But nowhere am I physically attractive. I can't afford a therapist, never used prescription drugs recreationally, never really had an addiction. I mean, I do have an addiction to caffeine. Masturbation is an addiction. I probably have an addiction to that. I do it several times a day. To the spirit of what they're asking, like, to hard drugs or anything, no, I don't have an addiction to that. I mean, I smoke, but I really don't have an addiction to that. I maybe have one cigarette every few days. It's not like I'm smoking 6 packs a day. I've never been shamed for my religious beliefs. Well, in the spirit of that, because I'm an atheist, I certainly have been shamed for being an atheist. So I'm not going to check that. I've never been violently threatened for my religious beliefs. I've been violently threatened before for being an atheist. I've never been attacked, though. There is a place of worship. Actually, there isn't. Being an atheist, there really isn't a place that I can go to meet other atheists. I've never lied about my ethnicity as a self-defense. No, I've never lied about being white, so I'll check that. I've never lied about my religion as a self-defense. Well, the thing is that, like, a lie of omission is still a lie. And certainly I've been in situations where, like, people are praying, or, there's, like, a religious atmosphere, and I don't reveal that I'm an atheist. Or I'll even say, the importance of God in my life, just because I don't want to cause controversy. I don't want to be difficult. So I feel that does kind of count, that I've lied about my religion as a self-defense. All my jobs have been accommodating of religious practices. Well, I guess technically yes. I am not nervous in airport security lines. Everyone is nervous in airport security lines. No one wants a... No one wants that, and we're all afraid that that's going to happen to us. No, everyone is nervous. Technically, I've never heard this because I've never traveled outside the country and I don't have a passport. I have been called a terrorist before because I'm part of the men's rights movement. I'm an atheist. I'm heteroflexible. I have so many targets on my back that, yeah, I've been called a terrorist before. I've had people try to save me because I was an atheist. I've never actually been cyberbullied before. I don't know if anyone ever beat me up because I was white. Most of the people who beat me up were white, so I don't know if this was ever really an issue. We have talked where I have tried to distance myself from my identities. We have talked where I've been self-conscious about some of my identities. I have never questioned any of my identities. Yeah, I have questioned my identities. I think everyone should, but, you know, especially when you first become an atheist, you know. I definitely did then, you know. I've questioned, you know, should I still be a male? And it's like, it seems to be the best option to be is a female. It was a phase. I went through it, you know. I don't feel that way anymore. But certainly at one point in time, I wondered if maybe I should. So yeah, I've definitely questioned my identities. And no, I do not feel privileged because of any of the identities that I'm born with. I have 23 out of 100 points. Now, there's some points of contention here and there. Some that I checked that maybe I shouldn't have. Some that I didn't check maybe I should have. But we kind of get the general sense. I think some of them would cancel each other out. Sometimes I take this, I get 21, depending on how I decide to define things. I try to be as fair as I can. So I usually get somewhere between 21 to 23. You're underprivileged. The world is not a fair or ideal place, and you know that because you grew up with several identities that the world is not kind to. Yeah, that's pretty much true. Especially being a white man. Yeah. You had a lot of challenges to overcome simply to get on the level playing field with most people in the world. Not really. It is not your job to educate the world about its injustices. Yes, it is. But if you choose to, go ahead and send them this quiz. It is my responsibility. It's my responsibility to educate anyone who's too stupid to see it for themselves. You know, if I'm going to say that there's an injustice in this world, it's my responsibility to show evidence of that, to demonstrate that. With this quiz, it was definitely stacked against white men, white straight men. That if a white straight man took this, then he would probably get a high number. It makes a lot of assumptions about what it means to be a white, straight, atheist man. And that's what they were trying to go for. That if you are a white, straight, atheist man and you've had the high life, then you would score very high on this test. So, next time a feminist says, hey, check your privilege, you know what? I'm going to say, you know, I already have. I got a 23. More than likely, bitch. You have more privilege than I do. I think that's going to do it for me today. Big 200 episode. I wanted to do something a little bit different, a little bit special. So I'm going to go ahead and close out today. Check out my Patreon. You know, I love doing these videos. And if you like that I'm doing these videos, consider leaving me a tip. Leave me a couple dollars here and there. Trying to raise money, getting a procedure that's not covered by insurance. And this could actually help me. This could actually make a big difference in my life. That's going to be like at least $10,000. At the very least. That's how much it's going to cost me. You know, you have a couple extra dollars. You want to, like, you know, show me support. Consider doing my Patreon. However, if you're not comfortable doing Patreon, perfectly understandable, consider buying my book.
Buy my book! Buy my book! Buy my book! Buy my book!
I actually have 5 books on the market, but these 2 I think are the biggest books I've ever done. The first one is free. Download it, read it. If you like it, consider leaving me a review, because reviews help me out so much. Make an honest review. If you really like it, consider buying the next book that comes directly after that. It's only $2.99. And as you can see, it's about vampires. It's about the Middle Ages. It's about knights. It's one of the things that I'm most proud of. I just wish more people knew about it, and it kind of helped me out a little bit more. So do my Patreon. If you're not comfortable doing that, please do this, because it would help me out so much. Because the more people download it, the more people buy it, the more people review it, it helps me out a lot. So anyways, that's going to do it for me today. This is Mad Cat signing off.